In a moment that ignited social media with tension and defiance, Young Miami, rapper, entrepreneur, and unapologetic voice of the City Girls, fired back at rumors linking her financial status to Diddy's crumbling empire. As whispers mounted across gossip blogs and comment threads claiming she had lost money or missed her shot while associating with the embattled music mogul, Young Miami took control of the narrative in the most modern way possible, through a blunt and fearless post on X. "I ain't lose no money, stop playing with me," she wrote, making it crystal clear that the internet's favorite assumptions had no foundation. For weeks, speculation swirled as Diddy faced mounting legal scrutiny, federal investigations, and public backlash over allegations that have begun shaking the very foundation of his once untouchable brand. Former collaborators, romantic ties, and close affiliates found themselves dragged into the digital spotlight, with Young Miami, a frequent presence by Diddy's side in both public events and social posts, being framed by some as collateral damage. But she wasn't having it. Her response wasn't just a denial, it was a power move, asserting her autonomy, self-made wealth, and refusal to be defined by someone else's collapse. This wasn't about defending a bank account, it was about reclaiming control of her own image. Within hours, her post went viral, triggering a wave of support from fans, celebrities, and media personalities who praised her confidence and independence. In an industry where women are too often treated as appendages to male success, Young Miami's message rang out as a declaration. She's not the aftermath of Diddy's downfall, she's her own headline. Meanwhile, beneath the surface of Young Miami's bold denial, a deeper conversation was unfolding. One that exposed the ongoing battle many women in entertainment face when tied to powerful men navigating public disgrace. The rumor that Miami had somehow fumbled her financial future by being involved with Diddy didn't emerge in a vacuum. It was born from the intersection of misogyny, celebrity culture, and the media's tendency to frame women as either beneficiaries or victims of male-driven empires. As Diddy's once golden image began to unravel under the weight of serious allegations and multiple lawsuits, people started looking sideways at those who had stood closest to him, scrutinizing their actions, loyalties, and, in many cases, their bank accounts. Young Miami, never officially Diddy's girlfriend, but often romantically linked and publicly affectionate with him, quickly became an easy target. Gossip forums and online tea channels speculated endlessly. Did she invest in one of his ventures? Was she financially entangled? Had she counted on his resources to elevate her brand? Each question carried a toxic undertone, that her success wasn't hers alone, but borrowed, or worse, stolen through proximity. And as these theories went viral, so too did the narrative that she was suffering now that his empire was shaking. But Miami's clapback disrupted that arc. Still, the online echo chamber was already in motion. Critics labeled her response defensive, while others questioned the timing. Why speak up now, when she'd largely been quiet amid the Diddy firestorm? On the other hand, her fans and peers saw a woman drawing a hard line between personal branding and public fallout. Her wealth, after all, didn't begin with Diddy. Before his name ever entered her orbit, Young Miami had built a successful career with City Girls, turning gritty lyricism and raw authenticity into platinum records and global streams. She'd also launched her podcast, Caresha Please, inked brand deals, and cultivated a lifestyle empire that thrived on her persona, not his shadow. But this moment wasn't just about defending income, it was about reclaiming dignity. In an entertainment industry where women's narratives are often rewritten through the lens of who they date or stand beside, Young Miami's statement served as a middle finger to that framework. Still, the backlash lingered. Anonymous insiders whispered about behind-the-scenes support, and a handful of pundits suggested she wouldn't be enjoying the same visibility without Diddy's influence. Miami ignored them. She didn't post follow-ups, didn't engage in subtweets or clapbacks. She let her original words stand on their own, unshaken. And in that silence, many found the real message. She wasn't playing the game anymore. Not their way. Not for their approval. Just for herself. Then, as the noise around Diddy's legal collapse intensified, the internet turned its gaze back to Young Miami with renewed force, hoping to find cracks in her composure. But instead, they witnessed a masterclass in unbothered resolve. With major headlines detailing FBI raids, canceled partnerships, and lawsuits piling up against the bad boy mogul, Miami remained a trending name. Not because of her proximity to the chaos, but because of how completely she refused to be consumed by it. While other celebrities issued statements, ducked out of the public eye, or distanced themselves from Diddy altogether, Young Miami did something unexpected. She thrived. That same week, her podcast Caresha Please returned with a high-profile guest and record viewership, her brand collaboration with a luxury fashion label went live, and her latest City Girls feature climbed the charts. It wasn't just survival, it was strategic dominance. The public watched as she posted glamorous behind-the-scenes photos, laughed on live streams, and went about her business as though the internet wasn't trying to paint her as collateral damage. The visual contrast between her glow-up and Diddy's downfall was sharp, and for many, symbolic. Commentators began calling it the reversal of the narrative, a rare moment where the woman often cast as the sidekick emerged as the main character. "Unproblematic queen," read one viral tweet. She left the building before it burned. But for every admirer cheering her poise, there were detractors itching to bring her down. They dissected her silence around Diddy's scandals, accusing her of complicity or opportunism. Some tried to bait her into commenting further, pushing for statements she had no interest in giving. But Miami's restraint wasn't weakness. It was precision. In a world where outrage is currency, she refused to spend hers unnecessarily. Her silence became power. And with each non-response, she subtly reminded the public that not every woman in proximity to a scandal must account for a man's sins. This was not just about money or tweets anymore. It had become a battle over identity, agency, and reputation. While Diddy's empire continued to fracture under public scrutiny, Miami's stock kept climbing. She wasn't just weathering the storm, she was walking through it untouched, dressed in success, and armed with the kind of confidence that only comes from knowing your worth is self-made. The climax of this media saga didn't come with a press conference or viral apology. It came in the quiet, undeniable truth of a woman who refused to play the role the internet had written for her. Young Miami had flipped the script, and in doing so, made it clear she was never a subplot. She was always the plot. Ultimately, what Young Miami achieved during this wave of scrutiny wasn't just damage control. It was a redefinition of public power on her own terms. As the dust from the Diddy scandal continues to swirl, her position remains solid, not because she dodged backlash, but because she confronted it with clarity and conviction. In the days following her now viral post, industry insiders began referring to her as a blueprint for brand resilience, while cultural critics acknowledged her as part of a broader movement of women in hip-hop, who are no longer defined by their associations, but by their decisions. The conversation slowly shifted from, what does she know about Diddy, to, how did she handle this so flawlessly? Her ability to maintain silence in a media landscape addicted to oversharing became a rare form of strength. While other celebrities scrambled to manage crises through interviews, rebranding, or retraction, Young Miami let her work, and her wins, do the talking. She appeared on stage, front row at Fashion Week, and in curated Instagram reels that reminded everyone, she's not ducking the spotlight, she is the spotlight. Her trajectory over the past year had already been impressive, but her response to adversity solidified something even greater: control. She didn't just protect her reputation, she elevated it. But beyond the headlines and hustle lies a deeper reflection on what her reaction represents. For decades, women in the entertainment industry, especially Black women, have been scapegoated, silenced, or sacrificed when the men around them fall from grace. Young Miami's refusal to play that role is not only personal, it's generational. Her statement wasn't just for her, it was for every woman who's ever been dragged into someone else's downfall and told to explain themselves. She didn't beg for sympathy or posture for validation. She reminded the world she never needed saving, and certainly never needed someone else's empire to build her own. And the irony isn't lost on anyone. While Diddy's legacy unravels in public, hers is expanding, steered not by scandal, but by strategy. She's become a new kind of case study in image control, authenticity, and knowing exactly when to speak and when to stay silent. As more women in the industry learn to navigate a world that's quick to label and even quicker to tear down, Young Miami stands as proof that reclaiming the narrative isn't about playing defense. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that no one else gets to define your story. In a culture obsessed with downfall, she chose discipline. In a moment built for chaos, she delivered clarity. And in a world waiting for her to fold, she chose instead to flourish, louder, brighter, and entirely on her own terms. Her ability to withstand public scrutiny without turning defensive revealed something far more profound than just PR savvy. It showed emotional intelligence, maturity, and a fierce understanding of her own value. Miami didn't just weather the headlines, she controlled their momentum. She understood the assignment, not as damage control, but as narrative architecture. She didn't retreat, she expanded. Each silence was calculated, each post was a strategy, and each business move was a declaration. I am the brand. Her independence, often questioned due to her former association with one of music's biggest moguls, has now become her strongest asset. In fact, her entire response serves as a blueprint for any artist seeking to survive and thrive beyond the reach of controversy. It wasn't about proving anyone wrong, it was about proving to herself, and the industry at large, that real power doesn't scream, it sustains. As tabloids tire of chasing the next scandal and fans move on to other trending names, one truth remains. Young Miami didn't just step out of Diddy's shadow, she burnt it behind her and kept walking forward, untouched by the flames.